I promise you won't believe what Melody Shari revealed about Chris and Nell Fletcher. She just reveals some startling facts. This drama, which includes shocking revelations and long-kept secrets, is playing out in front of us. Why is everyone talking about it, and what actually happened?
I think the thing with me and her is she get mad when I tell her how I feel. She really dismissed to me how I really felt about the girls' trip. She's male. She don't want to be nobody tell her how they feel. She don't want to be held accountable. Nell gonna tell Mel how she feel, and she's not used to that. She's used to, I don't know, do girls. I've never been do girl. I'm a leader myself. Friends.
Hold on tight as we delve deeply into the scandal that has social media buzzing. Melody Shari never holds back when it comes to expressing her truth, as anyone following the drama surrounding Love and Marriage Huntsville knows. However, she is revealing information about Chris and Nell Fletcher this time, and the results are nothing short of shocking. Why are people doubting their relationship with Melody, and what's actually happening behind the scenes? We're dissecting everything in this video, including the accusations and any untold information you might have overlooked. Was it business drama, betrayal, or something more serious? Stay tuned for all the most recent information on this messy situation, including receipts and reactions. Before we get into the explosive accusations, let's take a moment to look back and see how Melody, Shari, Chris, and Nell Fletcher are related. This drama didn't happen overnight, I promise. Chris Fletcher and his wife Nell have been prominent members of Love and Marriage Huntsville's social circle for a long time, in case you were unaware. Chris, a well-known real estate agent, has done business with Melody's ex-husband, Martell Holt. He has been embroiled in the drama surrounding their divorce for several seasons, frequently attempting to mediate the situation. The interesting part, though, is that Melody and Chris were more than just passing acquaintances. They respected one another, and at one point it seemed like Chris was the only person in the LAMH circle who truly stood by Melody following her tumultuous breakup with Martell. After the divorce, he even made an effort to put her in touch with real estate opportunities. His wife Nell, meanwhile, appeared to have no ill will toward Melody by standing by her side at various events, but was that all a front? Since it appears that tensions have been building behind the scenes for some time, Melody is finally telling the world that things were not as they seemed. Why is Melody speaking out now, and what went wrong? We'll explain what caused this startling fallout in the next section, so stay tuned. Melody, Shari, and the Fletchers appeared to have a cordial, even friendly relationship at first look. Chris Fletcher had previously worked in real estate with Martell Holt, and it seemed that the two were still friendly despite Melody's tumultuous divorce.
Martell shows up at the Classic. Everybody knows Martell goes to the Polo Classic. Woo, woo, woo. But apparently Martell shows up at the Polo Classic with his baby mama, who I do not know. I know nothing about this lady. When I said nothing, I mean shit. I cannot tell you nothing about this lady. I do not even know what she looked like until I met her that day and I shook her hand. I shook her hand out of being the person that I am, because I was caught off guard. I was very much caught off guard. I was laughing and already having a conversation.
It appeared as though there was no conflict between them because his wife, Nell Fletcher, was also present at several occasions where Melody was involved. But in the realm of reality TV, what we see on screen frequently only tells part of the story. Cracks had been developing behind the scenes for a while. Even though Chris and Martell's business relationship was well known, many began to wonder about his true allegiances. Melody and Martell had gone through a painful and well-publicized divorce, during which she was accused of infidelity and deceit. Many of her closest friends had turned away from Martell, preferring to stand by Melody while she tried to start over. However, it appeared that Chris and Nell were in the middle, keeping ties to both sides. For Melody, loyalty and trust were more important than sentimentality. She had been candid about the hurt and betrayal she had endured in her marriage, so it was obvious that anyone who remained close to Martell in light of everything he had done was suspicious. How sincere, in her opinion, was it for someone to profess to support her while still standing by the man who had degraded and humiliated her? The first concrete indication that something was amiss then appeared when Melody began to discreetly withdraw from Chris and Nell in public. She used to engage with them openly, but these days she seemed more reticent and less eager. Fans quickly became aware of the change and dynamic. Melody's tone had changed in interviews and social media exchanges. She no longer spoke about the Fletchers with the same familiarity and warmth. If anything, there was a discernible hesitancy, as though she were concealing something she truly wanted to say. Some conjectured that Melody might just be attempting to move on with her life and didn't want to get embroiled in any more needless drama. Those closest to the matter, however, understood that this was more than simply a matter of moving on. A significant rift had been created by something that had occurred behind closed doors. When Melody started making cryptic remarks in interviews and on social media, things became more serious. She talked about people who appeared helpful but had hidden agendas. She talked about being disappointed by people she had once trusted. Fans quickly made the connection and surmised that she was referring to Chris and Nell Fletcher, even though she initially did not name names. When Melody finally made the decision to speak out and publicly address what had been happening, the tension reached a breaking point. She revealed information that stunned fans and made them reevaluate everything they believed to be true about the Fletchers. What precisely did she say, though? What actions by the Fletchers resulted in such a severe backlash? We will dissect Melody's assertions and how they affected her interactions with Chris and Nell in the following section. Things are going to get even more intense, so pay attention. The conflict between Melody Shari and the Fletchers had been the subject of conjecture for weeks. While the internet was busy assembling hints, Melody was holding onto a secret that she had yet to reveal, and when she did decide to share it, she did so with receipts. Fans noticed the shift, the coldness, and the subtle shade in interviews. It was during one of Melody's open live sessions on social media that everything changed. She doesn't hesitate to confront the truth head-on, whether it's regarding her divorce, her experiences on Love and Marriage Huntsville, or the individuals she once thought of as allies. As anyone who has followed her for a while knows, Melody has stated unequivocally that she will not sugarcoat the truth. And when she began discussing those who had engaged in covert betrayal and those who had been phony individuals who had played both sides, at first, she spoke in general terms, avoiding specific names but making it apparent that she had been severely let down by people she had once trusted. But fans knew something significant was on the horizon. She explained how some people had pretended to be on her side by grinning in her face, but then they had flipped around and acted in ways that went against their professed allegiance. However, as the discussion went on, she revealed information that made it impossible to ignore. Melody's suggestion that Chris Fletcher had contributed to the drama between her and Martell Holt was one of the biggest bombshells. This is the point at which chaos ensues. Many believe that Chris and Martell's relationship was solely business, because Chris was known to have worked with Martell in the real estate industry. Melody did, however, imply that there was more to the story. She said that Chris had been giving Martell information that was subsequently used against her. If this were the case, it would explain why, in spite of their prior working relationship, she had started to abruptly distance herself from Chris. Fans immediately started analyzing previous episodes in search of moments that could bolster Melody's claim after this accusation erupted on social media. And they discovered something intriguing. Chris seemed to be attempting to mediate between Melody and Martell on several occasions during the seasons. Some started to wonder if he had been playing both sides all along, while others thought he was acting in good faith. Melody made it apparent that Nell Fletcher was not as helpful as she had appeared to be, and it wasn't just Chris who was linked to her revelation. Indeed, Melody implied that Nell had participated in discussions in which she had made disparaging remarks about her conversations, which eventually found their way back to Melody. To exacerbate the situation, it was alleged that Nell had attempted to keep up a public persona of backing Melody while secretly siding with Martell and other critics of her. Nell had been seen as one of the few women in Melody's circle who actually had her back, so this revelation was especially startling. At events, fans had witnessed them laughing together and seeming to enjoy each other's company, but Melody says outward appearances can be deceiving. She talked about how her energy changed at certain points, when she started to worry that Nell wasn't telling her the truth, and how it was the last straw when she eventually got confirmation of what had been said behind closed doors. The fact that the Fletchers had never openly displayed any hostility toward Melody only served to further complicate matters. Melody made it clear that neutrality and silence were just as telling as outright betrayal. She felt that they had not only failed to support her, but had actively contributed to the difficulties she faced after her divorce. In contrast to some of her more vocal critics, they had maintained a relatively neutral relationship with her, never publicly taking side. Reactions to Melody's revelations flooded social media, with some fans expressing shock and disappointment at the idea that Chris and Nell could be involved in anything shady. Others expressed no surprise, asserting that they had long suspected the Fletchers were not as devoted to Melody as they claimed to be. Chris and Nell, on the other hand, were noticeably silent. Despite the online uproar, they did not immediately address Melody's allegations, but their silence only served to heighten the controversy and left people wondering if they were dodging the problem because Melody's claims were true. What comes next? Will Chris and Nell Fletcher let the controversy subside and hope that people move on, or will they finally come out and defend themselves? More significantly, what does this mean for Melody Shari's future? If there's one thing we know about Huntsville Marriage and Love, it's that the drama never really ends. In the following section, we'll talk about the consequences of this disclosure, the public's response, and whether there's any chance of mending this broken relationship. Social media platforms were inundated with responses, discussions, and theories regarding the actual nature of Melody Shari's fallout with Chris and Nell Fletcher as soon as she made the decision to speak out. Fans of Love and Marriage Huntsville didn't waste any time analyzing Melody's remarks, going back to previous episodes and examining exchanges that seemed suddenly more dubious in retrospect. However, the main concern of all was how Chris and Nell responded to these startling accusations. Initially, there was quiet. The Fletchers did not respond to Melody's claims right away, which only served to feed the rumors, despite the online storm that was building. Many thought that Chris and Nell would have stepped forward to defend themselves right away if the accusations had been wholly untrue. Rather, they decided to say nothing, which let the dispute get out of hand. While some saw this as an indication of guilt, others thought it meant they were taking their time coming up with a thoughtful answer. Fans decided to delve further in the interim. Old interviews and video clips reappeared, and what people discovered only fueled the flame. Chris Fletcher talked about his friendship with Martell Holt and how he had attempted to remain impartial during Martell and Melody's tumultuous divorce in one particular clip that went viral. His remark at the time appeared innocuous, even tactful. However, people started to wonder if Chris had actually been impartial or if he had been covertly backing Martell behind the scenes in light of Melody's recent disclosures. Subsequently, as the controversy grew, screenshots of purportedly private conversations started to surface online. Some said they had receipts proving Nell Fletcher had spoken negatively about Melody with other Lamb Circle members. Despite being unconfirmed, these screenshots went viral right away because many fans thought they offered more evidence for Melody's assertions. A number of Love and Marriage Huntsville cast members were questioned about the situation as social media continued to fume with rumors. Some stayed silent and declined to comment, while others subtly implied that they weren't shocked by Melody's remarks. Some even implied that, long before this controversy made headlines, there had been simmering hostility between Melody and the Fletchers. Then, following days of increasing pressure, Chris Fletcher finally spoke up. He denied any wrongdoing in a brief statement, saying that he had always intended to be impartial and supportive of Melody and Martell. He maintained that he had never given Martell information or done anything to undermine Melody's confidence. Many questions were left. In contrast, Nell Fletcher's response was much less tactful. She made it apparent that she felt caught off guard by the accusations, even though she refrained from attacking Melody directly. She expressed her displeasure that their personal problems had been so dramatically brought to light in a since-deleted social media post. She implied that their relationship had been more nuanced than what was being depicted online, and that Melody's claims were overblown. However, Nell was gravely mistaken if she believed that the controversy would end with the removal of the post. As soon as screenshots of her message went viral, people started dissecting every word. While some thought her response was defensive and sidestepped the true problem, others interpreted it as an effort to gently criticize Melody for sharing their private information. The gap between Melody's followers and the Fletchers' supporters widened over the course of the days. Melody had every right to expose those who had harmed her, according to some fans, who felt that she was justified in speaking out. Others believed that Melody's decision to go public only added needless drama and that the matter should have been handled privately. And then, just when everyone thought things couldn't get any messier, the scandal took on a new dimension. The conflict between Melody and the Fletchers had been simmering for a lot longer than anyone had thought, according to new information released by a well-known Huntsville blogger who claimed to have insider knowledge. The source claims that Melody had felt deceived by Chris and Nell for more than a year, but had kept quiet about it. The blogger also claimed that Melody had evidence to support her statements up until this point, but she had not yet made it public. Fans were enraged by this discovery, and many of them demanded that Melody reveal the receipts and make everything public. Others, meanwhile, advised her to move on and adopt the moral high ground. One thing was evident: in the midst of all the confusion, Melody Shari had no regrets about telling the truth. She was unwilling to remain silent any longer after enduring years of manipulation, betrayal, and lies. She had made it plain that she would not put up with phony friendships or betrayal from anyone, even from people who had previously been in her inner circle, regardless of whether or not people believed her. What does this mean for Nell, Chris, and Melody now? Is there a chance they can get back together, or has their relationship been ruined forever by this feud? Above all, will Melody eventually divulge any more startling information? We'll talk about what comes next, the controversy's long-term effects, and whether this drama is really over or just getting started in the concluding section.